Welcome to the Travel Think Tank on the Hub. This is where the travel industry is together under one roof. This isn't just a bunch of agents. This isn't just a bunch of suppliers. This is everybody getting along on the path to prosperity. We are working together to help you get back to where we need to be and more. My name is Pat Miller. I'm the co-founder of The Hub. My other co-founder, Tom Rousseau, we'll talk to him in just 1 second for an update on The Hub and the path to prosperity, because it's been a big week for The Hub. And here is the Travel Think Tank. This show is to do just what it sounds like. We're going to get together. We're going to think. We're going to collaborate. We're going to try and come up with some ideas. And we're going to have a little bit of fun too. And today we've got some very specific questions we want to use to guide the conversation, because we're trying to build this path, this method, this mission that we were all on to try and help us get back to where we need to be. So for an update on that, let's go to the guy that came up with the whole thing, my partner, Tom Rousseau. So Tom, is your neck sore from taking all the calls because of all the publicity we've had this week for The Hub?
Well, it's great. We're famous. I'm so well, especially you, Pat. Though, if you guys didn't know, we had a great article published yesterday or late last night, actually, in Travel Pulse. I did an interview with Claudette Covey, and who's an awesome person, one of the technology editors at Travel Pulse. And you are right. We've definitely gotten a lot of calls. We got some new members that joined today. And, it really is a great thing because, in our industry, when the travel media, help magnify or help amplify your message, I think it's very meaningful. So, people see us in the trades and, get a better sense of who we are. And I think it becomes a little bit more real too to everybody. So we're very thankful for that publicity that we got from Travel Pulse. And as I mentioned to Pat today, much more to come. We have so many different exciting initiatives and things that we're working on that I think are travel trade press worthy. And we're going to continue to, share that with the industry. And, I know that in my conversations with Claudette and with some others recently, the feedback that we've been getting on, our concept and our mission and how we're going about our business, has been really, really good. Now the goal is, just to get greater awareness, make sure that people out there know exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it and how they can benefit. And I think, that was a very good, as you always hear me say, that was a very good building block, as the Hub community continues to grow. So yeah, I was fired up, and a lot of people from all over sent regards and, sent their comments. So that was a fantastic thing.
And the Hub is not some group that Tom and I are running that we hope just gets really big for our benefit. It's a community that's designed to work together, collaborate, improve communication, and help everybody out. So Tom's concept of path to prosperity has really ignited and kind of created a rallying cry for us. So Tom, you came up with it. You can express it more eloquently than I can. Tell us about what the path to prosperity means to you.
Sure. So, for one thing, every Thursday at 3:30, we do these think tank calls. And, as I have attended a million different webinars and lots of, read lots of trade articles and heard lots of opinions on things, the one piece of the puzzle that I felt could really use some improvement is, what do we do as an industry with all of the information that's out there? What strategies, what tactics, what ideas and solutions, can we come up with together that will further our industry, kind of get us back on that path to prosperity. So that's what this think tank series is about. Brainstorming those ideas, coming up with really very specific. And I'll talk about it. I have a few on my list to share with you guys, but really talking about some very specific ideas that help us accomplish the objective. And one of the examples I gave that I like to give is, if you ask anyone in our industry, or if you attend any webinar or any or read any trade articles, one of the things that people say is, we have to rebuild consumer trust and confidence, right? Well, we all agree on that. I mean, nobody doesn't disagree that that's exactly what we need to do. But the piece of the puzzle that's missing is, how are we going to do that? what are the strategies? What are the tactics? What's the messaging? What's the communication? Because if we all know that that's the foundation of how we get our business back and get us back to the place where we need to be, knowing that is one thing, but executing a strategy to actually make it happen is a completely different thing. And so that's what we're trying to get at here. And so we're going to talk about that today and talk about also, what are the different elements of the path to prosperity that we have to consider. For example, there's all kinds of different research out there. There's different surveys. And in one of our sessions that really spurred this, Nolan Flynn from Lamakia Travel talked about some customer surveys that they had done and, getting a sense of where consumers are at. And there's a lot of industry research out there. But what's lacking, again, is that there's no consolidated or there's no consensus about what all that research says. There's lots of it. There's 10, 12, 15, 20 different pieces of information, but what does it say? What roadmap is it setting forth for us? And if you ask someone that question, I would guarantee you that I shouldn't say that because some smart person might have done the work, but generally speaking, there's probably not a consensus. When is travel going to return? Where do people want to go? What's the, what are the major pain points that our suppliers are having? That's what we want to try to get at and tackle those bigger issues as a group, because if we can do that and the collective brain power of this group can even provide a few solutions to the problem, well, then we would have done our job and we would have advanced the ball down the field in a way that wouldn't have happened without us. So that's kind of the goal and the mission of Path to Prosperity.
And what we know is that travel won't go from 0 to 60 overnight. So what we can do is help people and agents when it gets to 15 to 20 to 30 to 40, they're ready to meet this demand as it comes back, as are the suppliers. So they're getting top flight information from our agent members as it relates to the consumers. So we're all working together here. So let's get to the workshop part of this, because Travel Think Tank is exactly that. It's a workshop. So I'm going through and I'm going to unmute all the microphones on the call because we want to bring you on and we want to go over what we've covered and where we're going next. So last week on the Travel Think Tank, and if you missed it, the full call is up inside the vault in the hub. We kind of defined what success looks like, because you really can't come up with a new project or a mission without understanding what's the goal. And we defined the goal last week as getting through the next 6 months and being ready for demand when it returned. Again, it's kind of a fuzzy goal, but we didn't want to have the path to prosperity be a 5-year plan for the travel industry, because that's just not an appropriate scope. The other thing that we talked about were some important milestones, and this happened from the brainstorm last week. We were talking about the vaccine, that is something that our travelers are watching for and asking for, and we thought might be either a yellow or a green light when it comes to our travelers saying, yes, now I'm at least ready to book, or now I'm ready to travel. And as Tom mentioned, we shared some information on customer behavior and what we're hearing from right now. So let's just start right here. Now, remember, this is a workshop and we want this interaction. So if you have something to add, drop into the chat. I'll call on you. We'll bring you on. What have you seen in the last week as either something that might be a trend, something that stuck out to you, something that could be a reoccurring observation, something a client said? If you need a visual, like if you were a dog, it made your ears go like that. Like, what have you seen or heard that you think is newsworthy that you would like to share? Because these little anecdotal pieces, the fact that we have agents and suppliers together and we're nationwide in scope, could be instructional. So what have you heard and seen? Danielle, have you heard or seen anything in the last week that had you go, oh, that's interesting, that's noteworthy?
There's a couple things that I've seen, both specific to a destination and just overall for international travel in general. I've seen some articles, or I've seen some updates from different passport agencies, where this passport agency is now, example, in Chicago or California or New York, that they're slowly starting to reopen for emergency services only, and they're slowly starting to get passport processing back on track. So what is that impact on people wanting to travel internationally? You know, even getting passports renewed, getting new ones, services if they lose it. So all of that could also have a pretty significant impact when people are ready to book again. Are their passports updated? Are they valid? And if there's such a backlog in getting them processed, that might be something that we put on our radar to make sure agents are communicating with all of their clients, and maybe they already are, about the updates on passport agencies.
And that's a great thing that we could be communicating right now. Hey, we can't go anywhere, but make sure that you're not going to expire when it's time because the length of the backlog. That could be a beautiful campaign or a video that's shot and shared with our agents for the time being. So I think that's a great idea. Susan Peavy, what have you seen that you would like to share, and something that has caught your eye or ears this week?
Well, Tom and I were just speaking about that a little bit earlier. You know, Playa has a big fam going on right now down at the Hyatt Zilara Ziva Cap Cana. And I was there in January, and the whole resort just wasn't open. And I was able to use pictures from the agents that are there now to be able to actually make 2 bookings today. So it really helped out. The spa's open, so we were able to share the spa pictures. So that's important. That's important to see and to share it, you know, as live pictures, not just magazine.
Can you walk us through? You got the pictures. What was the conversation like with the folks that booked?
Well, we gave them 3 hotels in the Cap Cana area, and I actually like the Zilara. So her idea was she wanted great food, they needed a nice spa, and a good beach. And
Check.
so I was able to say, hey, you know, one of my colleagues is there right now. I know she posted spa pictures. Let me grab them and I will text them over to you. And she sent them back. She goes, yep, book it. That's what we want. So it worked.
Oh, that's great. Tom, I know that this is something that you're really passionate about, having agents share pictures when they're traveling. Do you want to weigh in on this?
Sure. Yeah, so this is a really, Susan, this is a really good example of kind of this path to prosperity thought process. And that is that, yeah, there's 40 to 50 agents that are currently at Hyatt Ziva Zilara. There's Roy Gall is down in Cancun doing site inspections. There's probably Jennifer Donchez is at Secrets Divine. You know, there's agents traveling all over the place, and you know they're all having their own individual experiences. Some of them are posting it, and some of them are sharing it. But what if, in the path to prosperity world, what if there was a centralized place for all of those travel agent experiences to be collected? You know, in a place where they could be referenced, where they could be found. Because if you're not a friend of, or if you're not connected to, you know, people that are any of these groups, you know, there's like 30,000 travel agents. If you're not connected to them, you might never know. You might never know that, you know, that anywhere, or someone might be in a place that's much more relevant to you and interesting to you. So what if, for example, like the campaign about was called Agents Lead the Way, or Agents Leading the Way. And what that really shows is that they're showing leadership. You know, they're the ones that are going to the destinations. They're the ones that are experiencing it. They're, as Tom Carnes and I say, you know, they're the pioneers that are out there showing their clients and the rest of the industry how it all works. So what if we found a way to get a lot of that content, a lot of those travel agent experiences into one place where it's easy to find and reference? So if you're a travel agent like Susan, you know, who needs to know information or see something about a specific resort or destination, you could find it in one particular place. So if you guys think that's a thing, or that could be a thing, I think it's worthy of looking into and determining, hey, how could we do that? What would be the platform or the process for which we could do that in an effective way for everyone?
Almost like a Dropbox, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or is there a way, I know when people are posting, if we could tag them with something from the hub, we could pull them in to a space within the hub where they feed right in to almost have an Instagram role right in the hub that's labeled by destination or experience.
Well, I know that the hub will integrate directly with Slack. So I know that that's on a major platform, but it does behave somewhat in that way. The other thing we might be able to do is we might be able to have agents lead the way as a searchable tagged gallery inside the manifest, because the manifest is built on the Airtable platform, which is essentially a giant database. So if you were to submit your photos and have them tagged as Punta Cana, next time Lisa is having someone thinking about Punta Cana, she could go to the manifest, search by Punta Cana. It would draw up all the photos from the agents that had put it in there. Tom and I had a good talk about this yesterday. There's a push-pull between the platforms that everybody is on and the ability to find the information after the fact, because Facebook, everybody's on it, but you can't search for a darn. But Airtable or Dropbox, nobody's on it, but they're easy to search. So those two, we have to kind of figure that out. But I'm excited to think about the concept, because if it's easy to use and then easy to pull stuff out, would a resource like that be valuable, Danielle?
Yeah, or maybe we could also integrate something into the destination communities, the focus destinations. We could have a place within the community where images or agents share images of the destination or suppliers, or it's just like an image bank within the community of what's happening in the destination that is searchable.
Yeah, that's definitely something we could develop. And if it's something that we're excited about, it's one of those things that happens. And I mentioned this before, but it's just so true. The problems that we face will be solved by the members of the hub. And the bigger we get with membership, the easier something like this becomes, because as Tom mentioned, as more and more agents are traveling, we get more and more coverage from more and more destinations. So this is the type of thing that if we can pioneer now, we can really scale as the group gets bigger.
Yeah.
Because because there's definitely a way to do this, to build the repository, as I mentioned, within the hub, right? But the challenge is that all the the agents, or so many of them, some are on the hub. We have some really awesome agents, but there's a lot of agents that are not, and they're operating on Facebook. So we need to build a bridge from Facebook to the hub and find a way to leverage that and amplify it, because it's not just the collection of that information, right? Collecting it is just one step. It's how do we amplify it? How do we utilize it? How do we make agents aware that it exists so that they can use it as a sales tool?
This problem has been solved in the travel industry by other vendors, though. So, Galen, let me ask you, if someone goes on one of the cruises, how are you collecting passenger photos? I'm sure someone in your organization has, anytime someone mentions your cruise line, you're capturing that information and cataloging it someplace. Does something like that exist for you?
It does. It does. We operate mostly with hashtags, right? And then we'll put out specific hashtags if we want to drive one product, like the launch of a new ship or a destination. But I think it's really important to remember that when you're collecting this information, especially right now when everything is so hot and so volatile and it's so nimble, that we've got to date stamp this, because one thing that drives me crazy is this is a moment in time. So if you tell me that the O'Hare airport was backed up for 2.5 hours at 4 a.m. for testing because the flight was going to Jamaica, I get that in my mind, and a month from now I'm telling somebody that story, and it's simply not true. And I can see how if we do this correctly, then this will be the place where people want to go for current, up-to-date. Show me somebody who was at that resort last week, and we would actually have, and you could see the evolution. You also can't talk about vaccine testing without talking about rapid testing, or a vaccine without rapid testing. That has been blowing up in the news this week. So that's another thing that's going to change so quickly. And I don't know the resort side, but I'm hearing from the agents that this group of resorts is no longer doing rapid testing. This group of resorts has decided they are going to do it. I think that's really important in that whole consumer confidence for the person who's going to make that decision on where they're going to go. So we're kind of waiting on the peripheral right now. We've got our plans in place. We still have to go through the CDC, but there's Barb's on here. There's a lot of people, bright minds, who know what's going on right now. And if you could be the up-to-date provider of the most recent information from firsthand experience, that'd be incredible. Just
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, thank you for weighing in on that. Lisa Pease, you had something that you wanted to share. What have you seen this week that's gotten your attention or you think is newsworthy?
Yeah, I kind of gave myself a date of this week, ironically, to really jump in full force. I'm ready now. The kids are back to school. Summer's over in my mind. Here we go. Just finished my vacation last week. And I think that other people had that idea too, because I started to hear from more people this week. And most especially those folks that had credits from trips they couldn't take over the past 6 months. So I'm getting a lot of people coming to me saying, can I use those credits now? I think I'm ready to go. So it's almost like there's this imaginary line of, okay, baby steps towards being comfortable. And the start of the school season always tends to start that anyway, but maybe that's a little bit of movement that we'll be seeing over the next couple of weeks.
That's a really good point about the timing that comes into this. And how big, I'm sure more than ever, how big is the credit issue right now? Because so many people had to cancel and reschedule. How big in your client base is that chunk of folks?
Thankfully, most of my clients were able to get a refund. I have a few more that are dangling out there, but maybe 20%, 15 to 20% have credits that they didn't have insurance, and luckily they were able to get a credit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk on a bigger scale. Barbara Windisch, what are you seeing as far as credits and those sorts of things with what you do?
Well, Pat, we offered back when people were trying to make a decision, do I cancel, do I go, do I reschedule? We offered people the option instead of canceling. We gave them the chance to get 25% more on the value that they already had on their booking to reschedule, take a credit. And we had about a 30% take of people saying, you know what, I'd rather have another $600, $1,000 to apply to a vacation in the future. And some of those people are actually now cashing in, as Lisa said, they're cashing in now on those credits. And what we've seen just in the last 3 weeks, we have seen this surge. We saw it earlier in the summer when flights started going again, and then there was the spike of COVID, and then we saw the drop. And now people seem to be, at least I'm in the Midwest, and right now we've got some nonstop flights going out of both Chicago and St. Louis. And we're seeing an actual uptake in those flights. Each week, we see an increase in passengers actually booking. And I think it's a comfort level. They can get on that flight. It's 2.5, maybe 3 hours to Cancun. They get off, they're met. You know, if they take a private transfer or whether they take a multiple passenger transfer, everybody's following the rules. The resorts are operating at about 30%, so it's very easy to social distance. We're getting really good feedback from agents who are going and even from customers who are coming back saying, you know what, I felt safer at the resort than I do in my own local grocery store. So that feedback, and just like some of the others have said, seeing pictures from agents being on FAMs, we've had 4 FAMs go out in the past month. The feedback from the agents has just been fantastic. They're passing that on to their clients, and I think people are starting to say, okay, you know what? Maybe I can get on that plane. I can go to that resort. I can have that vacation that I missed. And they are passing that on to their friends. So we're being optimistic right now. You know, we're not breaking the bank by any means, but we are definitely seeing a pickup over these last 3 weeks for people wanting to go and go to Cancun. They're not just staying domestic and driving in a car to a hotel. So it's been kind of nice.
Well, I also think there's some very positive confirmation bias here. No one stopped traveling because they don't like traveling. People stopped traveling because they couldn't. And now that they've decided to travel, it's the best thing ever. That's why I'm so bullish about when people start to travel, here it comes. Like, I think when the time that people think it's going to be okay, it's going to be so in vogue and so hot when it gets there, I'm excited about it. Now, I want to ask another question specifically of you because of your size and scope. It's almost as if you're living in the future in a way because you have such a big organization. So you're maybe ahead of an individual agent is what I'm saying. So like what other things are you seeing? You're seeing some rushes, you saw the spike, and then you're seeing this credit cash in. Of that percentage of folks that took the credit, how many of them do you think are really being actionable about turning them in? Are they all of a sudden turned on, or is it trickling in?
Some of them actually, a lot of people have already applied their credits for next year.
Okay.
So when they actually canceled their booking, they immediately turned around and applied it to a new booking, and they're not traveling until maybe March, April, May, June of next year. Destination weddings, for example, they've all either rebooked to the fall of this year, or they've waited an entire year and they won't go until, say, June or July of next year.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have too many people that are just sitting on their credits. The ones that have been sitting still want to go, like they want to go now. They're really not, they don't want to put it off. They're not waiting for next year. They're just saying, if you can get a plane that will fly, we want to be on it. And if you can find a resort that will open and stay open, we want to go there.
Yeah.
So that's probably been our biggest challenge, is working with the carriers, working with hotels, and getting people to stay open long enough for someone to travel.
That's great information. Question from Lisa. Lisa wants to know, do you think that you will have Milwaukee charters tomorrow?
You know what? That's a crystal ball. We are still waiting. Our fingers are crossed. I'm going to say don't hold your breath for tomorrow. Probably more like next week.
Got it. Got it. Well, thanks, Barb. We've got some more questions I'm sure we'll want you to weigh in on. Susan, you've got an idea here about featuring some of your travelers. Can you talk about it?
Sure. Am I unmuted?
No, you're good.
So I had guests returned back from Unico on Friday. They were there for a week. They were a little antsy about going. They were getting, friends of theirs saying, I can't believe you're going to Mexico. Why are you going? Her parents were like, I can't believe you're going. They went and they had an amazing time. Some of the things at Unico aren't open like other resorts, but, they sent me pictures while they were there. Air travel was easy. So I'm going to use them. They've been home for a week now. So maybe next week we're going to do like a little interview and then post it up and, let people see that people are traveling. You can do it. You can do it. So.
That's great. And would you be willing, if they are okay with it, sharing that on the hub so we can use that idea for other agents? Are you okay with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, please definitely share that, because that speaks to something else that Tom and I wanted to probe on a little bit, is amplifying the positive news. So that's a great example of straight from the traveler. We talked before about agents that are on FAMs and that are traveling on their own. What are some other ways that we can amplify positive news so we can address some of these pain points that are out there? Are there other ideas that we could use?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, you go ahead, Susan, if you have one.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
just thinking out. Just go ahead.
Okay, no problem. So this is one of the things that, amplifying the message was, and Susan, your testimonial, the client testimonial is a fantastic one. And one of the challenges that we have is that, we as agents and all of the suppliers by and large, have been dark from an advertising and marketing messaging standpoint. And we talked about this a little bit a session or two ago, and we all realize that everybody's in different places, right? In terms of comfort level with marketing, we realize that some consumers are not ready to hear that messaging. There's also a fair, not a small segment of the agent population that's made the decision that they're not going to sell travel until some predetermined date in their mind, which, I don't subscribe to that, but if they do, that's their business. They can approach it the way they want. So from a marketing messaging and amplifying the positive, whether it's through testimonials or whether it's a sale or whether it's a new development in the industry, we have to figure out a game plan for how we're going to reignite that. We have to do it the right way. We know that everybody's in a different place on that spectrum, but at some point we can't continue not to market and advertise.
Oh no.
And everybody's, like I said, I don't want to assume that I'm in the same place as anybody else is. If people have financial considerations, our suppliers have financial considerations that normally would drive the marketing and advertising. And it's all about return on investment. We realize that, but if we continue to stay dark and we're not getting the word out, we're not going to be helping us. We're not going to be helping ourselves in the big scheme of things. So, like, I'll give you an example, like in terms of marketing, amplifying the message. For many, many years, I have, and around the country, there's all of these morning TV shows. In Milwaukee, there's Fox Focus, and there's the Morning Blend. And, they're basically these really good infotainment type shows. And in the past, I would do it 5-6 times a year because it was a great place for me to get the message out. It's basically travel agents on TV. But imagine a scenario where, across the country in markets where these shows exist, that travel agents were being more aggressive, suppliers were being more aggressive in utilizing television, a very wide scale medium, to get out the messaging of what's happening, what's changing, what's new, what do you need to know. We might not be able to draw people in with, hey, there's a big sale to Mexico launching next week. Their hot button might be something totally different, like the rapid testing for COVID, or just better understanding the process, or just feeling comfortable getting on an airplane. So amplifying the message is something that I think we have to find a way. We need to figure out as an industry a way to do that. And there's probably about 5 or 7, 10 different answers, but we should work on that collectively. And
this might be a total non-starter. So this might be the dumbest thing you ever heard. Okay, this is a safe place. This is a safe place. We can say that?
Yeah,
okay,
safe
great.
Place.
Safe place. So one of the most effective ways that I've seen that done at scale are the satellite tours, especially using the types of shows you're talking about. So let's say the Hub partnered with Galen and Royal Caribbean, and we went to 5 or 6 or 7 of our Hub stars, and we had someone on one of the boats, and then we did 5 or 6 satellite interviews in a row from the location. Imagine the Hub postcard on location that lines up and does morning blend after morning blend after morning blend with one of our Hub stars on TV from one of the resorts, and the Hub coordinates the whole thing. So one of our partners basically is doing co-op with agents inside their home markets, and we align everything. And it's something then that we might be able to bring to the market. And I don't know if that's feasible, but it's something I know that we could do.
Well, and Pat, that's, and thank you for kind of steering me in the right direction, because, the Hub and the postcard and how we produce those, if you guys haven't seen them, they look very much like a morning blend or a morning TV show. And as we go forward in time, they'll look much more like that, as we get more sophisticated in terms of our production and our sets and things like that. And the nice thing about the Hub postcard on location is that we get to pick and choose the product and the placement, the agent participation, and they're inexpensive. The morning shows, the TV morning shows range anywhere from $800 to probably $1,200 or $1,400 an appearance, right? That's a lot of money. Whereas a Hub postcard on location, for people that are out there traveling, they're on the ship, they're with a key member of that organization, if it's Royal Caribbean or if it's a resort or an attraction. And we also can very much control the message and amplify the important parts of what we want to communicate. So we could do that in such a way that it's consumer focused. And I think that's an awesome idea that is, from our standpoint, is pretty easily done.
Another thing that's been a thorn in our side, and Danielle, you've talked a lot about this, trying to find the latest information for every destination. And we saw something this week that we want to share, but what are you seeing about getting that information? Because we need to know that when we're talking to our customers.
Yeah, it's still very fragmented, and not only is it fragmented, there isn't a single information source where it is, that anyone is providing. In addition to that, it's changing rapidly. So I know Jamaica's changed their rules a couple of times. Dominican Republic's in the process of changing them again. Throughout the Caribbean, all of the little islands have updates every week as to what their processes or changes that are going to be made. And I think as more air accessibility becomes available parallel to those changes in regulations, both of those things are equally important. So none of them are centralized in one place until we saw this week this application that will be coming out, I believe, at the end of the month, which is going to be fantastic to have this all in one place. But again, it's making sure that it's current, up to date. So I spend a lot of time, making sure that I'm up to date with the U.S., what the State Department is advising and what the destinations are specifically advising, and letting everyone in the hub know. But this, which is going to be released at the end of the month, looks like an excellent tool that will finally be launched in the industry.
And this is something that as a group, because we are neutral,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking and trying to get a meeting with Dragon Slayer. And Tom, you had some success trying to get a hold of them. Isn't that right?
I did. Yeah, I actually reached out to Peter Wells, who's the owner of the company, because they were in Travel Pulse the day before we were. And initially, immediately got my attention because, their app here is a solution to one of our major problems. And so I reached out to them today. They responded back to me immediately, which I thought was awesome, and said that, hey, you know what? There is some synergy, there is some connectivity. And as Pat said, as the hub, we're looking for solutions. We're looking to find ways to help our hub members. And, this app, Dragon Slayer, it could be a great application that, we can help to promote, that we can help to advance, that we can help to grow, because this helps solve one of our major pain points. And because of that,
maybe they can let us have a pre-launch like beta view.
That's a terrific idea. And what a resource for them to have a bunch of pro agents and suppliers get a look at this thing before it goes live. What a resource. That's a brilliant idea. Tom, write that down. I can't write it down. I'm doing a show. Good one. High five, Danielle. That's brilliant. But that's the type of thing, those are the types of relationships hopefully we can develop on behalf of all of our members and benefit all. The other thing that we have here, Tom, let's talk about, you mentioned airport health accreditation. What did you have to say about that as an issue?
Well, it was just something that I saw. It was in this past issue of Travel Weekly, and basically, the airport's going through, a health and safety accreditation process, with them meeting certain protocols, with them meeting certain requirements, so that the airport experience is consistent and and comfortable. Anywhere from having touchless TSA interactions now will become more prevalent. But all of those things contribute to the consumer confidence. Because if you're at home and you're thinking about taking your family on a trip, your mind is racing with all of the variables now that you have to deal with, and all the ways that we can smooth out that, make that simpler, and take away that pain point of the consumer worry is going to be to our advantage, because people are going to be more inclined to book trips, and they're also going to come back and say to their friends and family that the trip was great, it was easy, it wasn't a problem. If people are coming back and saying, hey, you know what, that sucked, I do not do it. That is the worst case scenario for our industry. We have to make it easy, and we have to make the experience the very best that it can be.
We also want to make sure that we're mindful of bookings and margin, right? We want to help suppliers get full, and we want agents to make money. And maybe this is behind the curtain, but remember Safe Place? So we're behind the curtain a little bit. We're developing the manifest, and the manifest is a big old database that we're all going to be able to use. And one of the key elements of the database will be offers and benefits for agents from suppliers. We have an entire wing of the manifest that's set aside to put in the promo codes and the offers that people could use to be enticed to book these destinations. And we need to fill that up. We also need to fill up all of the events that are happening, even if they're virtual. So we have this robust resource for the manifest. And to be candid, we've had a hard time finding this information so we can put it all in one place. And Daniela, you're so connected. How do you propose that we could get through this? And other folks on the call, how can we get this information so then we can centralize it in one place?
Yeah, that's a great task that I think we, as we get more suppliers connected into the hub, and I know we were on a path to, more and more signing up, we, perhaps we, engaged in some type of like reach out or a questionnaire or something that somebody can fill out with some content and information that they specifically would like to share as far as contact information or specific things that so it could be mass distributed to our guests that are already in the hub, to our supplier base already in the hub, and those who are, when everyone signs up for their 2-week trial or engages in the hub, we send them a welcome kit, or here are the things that we want to make sure that are populated on your behalf in the manifest, contact information, specific things about your product offers, and then how, we have to show them. I think it's really, showing them, and I know you guys and your team are doing a really good job at showing how to use the hub, but I still think that that's one of the things that we need to keep showing everyone real time how to use it, like using it on your mobile. Like I use it on my mobile all day long. It's actually such a nice application and easy to use. I uploaded some photos even, but I think we need to connect with them and ask them what they want to put in there and what's important for them, and vice versa for agents. What's important for agents to make sure that are in the manifest, so we can connect the two as we're building it, so we don't go back and have to do rework.
No, that's true. And some of those onboarding tasks will become inside an email sequence that people receive as they join moving forward, which is something that we're always looking to refine. Sarah, you said you were talking about needing to know when destinations were reopening. How would you suggest we go about that?
Well, that's the big question. And I've had a couple people this last week who are they have rebooked from when things were canceled. And it's looking like their rebooking is probably not going to go, because I have one for Italy in March. We're looking, that's a real iffy situation right now. Disneyland in October, another iffy one. When you're talking about that they're getting back, so it's that unknown of when you're talking about travel coming back, it's that unknown. People are getting frustrated. Disneyland, this is their third rebooking.
Oh, that's so sad. Just think about that. That's just as a not agent, as a normal human here that's not in the industry. It's like, I'd be so sad to tell my kids we're going and we're not going 3 times. How frustrating.
Well, and to make matters worse is there's a family who's surprising the other family. Kept this secret from the other family for a year.
Oh.
And it's like, and then the other family that's being surprised changed and said, well, we think we're now going to go to Disney World instead in April. I'm like, oh my God, you cannot do this. This is going to be the longest secret. Plus you're changing the destination on the original other family. I get, it's like.
Yeah. Susan shared in the chat, and thank you for this, Susan, that the unknown of people's finances and what's going to happen with the economy, and when they feel like they have money in their pocket and they're comfortable to spend, an additional variable towards the health conditions and the money. Both of those.
Adds into that too, and that's they're not sure. That's the other thing, is they're like, even if it does open, do we want to travel right when it's open?
Yeah, no, you're right on that. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. So we've got about 10 minutes left in the call, and I want to make sure that we are listening and not just talking about hub features. We want to make sure that we're really asking these questions: the path to prosperity, and how do we participate in it as a community? And Galen's dropping in and talking about needing to know what the cancel options are. How are you communicating that right now, Galen, and how are you keeping your agents informed?
Well, that's the consumer confidence thing, right? So they're ready to go. I totally agree with Barb. They're throwing money at us, but they're terrified that it will cancel again. So same thing with Sarah's clients. They have to know that, and everybody's changing their policies. I don't know how you guys keep it straight. I have one cruise line to keep straight, and that's it. So there is a huge need for updated supplier information. I don't know how we do that. Who is that person who keeps that information current on, number one, what the policies are, what the promotions are, and the destination's opening, right? So does every supplier, like Barb's a local sales manager, I am a regional director, who is that person who takes responsibility to make sure that you have the best of the best information, right? Because this is a global platform, right? It's not just Midwest, it's not just West Coast, it's a global platform. So I think that's really important because, again, back to the cancellation options, you have to have that that knowledge that you can tell your customer, yes, they've changed their policies. You can cancel up to 48 hours now and get a future cruise certificate, and you can sail again on the ship of your choice. So ship. Pat, have you ever cruised before? Have you been on a ship?
I know. I called it a boat. I'm sorry.
Oh, I figured
No.
you were. I figured you were probably a boat owner on the lake. That kind of thing. We forget
well,
those people.
I've got a few yachts, but I lose
okay.
track. I call it a boat so people don't think I'm wealthy. Let's talk about that though. If you had a form, as simple as sending an email, it wouldn't be an email, but a simple form dedicated to you, hyperlink to the cancellation policies, status of the fleet, whatever it is there any hope we could get suppliers to use it and keep it current? Because we may be able to create the platform, but can we count on our partners, because you're busy, to tell us what's going on? Because we can be a switchboard if we can get everyone to play ball.
So I'm going to step in for every supplier on the phone, and that answer's yes, because we keep our sites pristine, right? The second that last promo ends, it's out. The new one's in, it's in. So the second that we open up sailing and we have our new return to service protocols, which is what you were asking earlier, how do you get the consumer confidence? We need to blast everybody with those return to service protocols. I saw a video from Sandals, and it wasn't all about hand sanitizer. They used drone shots and it was stunning, and the beaches were empty, and I wanted to go. And I can cruise for free, and I wanted to go to Sandals. So we need to get that information out to people. So I can guarantee you that the sites, the suppliers will have all the current information. All we have to do is make sure that it's linked properly, and you should be fine. So as long as the links don't get corrupt, I think everybody would be okay.
Well, and I think it's as simple as having someone from the supplier assigned to make sure that that box is updated. But we can create, again, back to the database and the manifest concept, we can create, paste your cancellation page link here, paste your status update here, your promotional videos here, your promo codes here, and then the manifest can throw it into the right places. So Sarah or Lisa or someone can jump in and search Royal Caribbean and find what they need right away. And for us, we can do that, but we need the suppliers to play ball so we know what's up.
Right. And when we're back to the real world, then we can start using that to put destination videos into the right destination group, right?
Yep. Danielle, are we crazy here, or is this,
No.
are we talking about something that's doable?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. And I think you're right on. It's just information gathering and sourcing it properly and sharing it and making sure that it's easily accessible. And I like where Galen was going. As it unfolds in the future and things get back on track, it can continue to grow and expand into more promotional elements and videos and things like that. So this is a great, framework for what it really could even unfold into much bigger. But yes, and I think it's really, really important. I think suppliers really would like a single sort or a place to kind of push out that information to the entire industry rather than populating it in multiple places, and then it can send it right back to their own sites for more information or dig a little bit deeper.
So let me ask the question then. because the technology that we've built is scalable, unlimited scalability. And if we had a web page where you could put in everything from agent discounts to fam trips to everything you wanted the agents to know, this one form could then throw it out to all the different pages of the manifest, and all of it is searchable.
Mhm.
The question is, we don't have the reach yet to get to the critical mass of suppliers.
Mhm.
That's the challenge.
I think that that is something that is desirable to bring in the supply. So it's definitely a sellable feature
Yeah.
to attract more suppliers into the hub.
Okay. And that's definitely a path to prosperity item, that we're not
And-
only
Yeah.
putting out how we're going to get back to normal, we're going to create new repositories of information that didn't exist before.
Yeah, and I think just like we want client testimonials of, the being in the destination, we should also gather testimonials of people within the hub, the agents, the suppliers that are already in here, and share their testimonials, either written or little video snippets or something, and then, share that. Because like you said, the more people that get in the hub, the better it works, and the more community sharing of information there is.
And Lisa's on this in the chat, and I think this is brilliant because it's something that we can coordinate.
Mhm.
I could see our hub stars having the choice of going places when they open. The only ask would be go check it out, take a bunch of pictures, and share in the hub when you go there. Is that kind of what you were talking about? Hub stars and hub ambassadors going places when they reopen?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. And even maybe even a little bit further, as I was falling asleep last night, all the brilliant ideas happened to come during that time of 5 minutes before twilight.
Write it down.
I was thinking, I want so bad to get on a plane and get to Puerto Vallarta and see my friends there. And I feel very, very safe and comfortable there. And my idea was, you know what, I'm just going to go, I'm going to grab my phone, I'm going to do some Facebook Live, I'm going to go to the restaurants that I know and the people that I know, have them take me around, and I'll just tape it and put the content on Facebook. And we could all do something like that in our favorite destination when it's open, or where we're comfortable. And it would bring so much value to the hub to be able to know that you can come to this place and find that great information. And like Tom has been to Riviera Maya quite a few times, and Puerto Vallarta as well, and probably has those same connections. It's so much more special when you can say, hey, I have my friend Alfredo that owns this restaurant, and go, I'll get you a table there. It's that much more of a connection, and to know that we can all be in this together and share all of that with the other hub stars, ambassadors, whatever we want to call them.
Well, and I like the agent to agent language. If you're
Mhm.
shooting a video, you can say, hey, you need to know this, 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 and this, and not have to worry about it necessarily being B2C. It can
Right.
be you to other agents. So we know, ask for Alfonso, because he's going to give you this table, and this is the upgrade that your client would want.
Right.
So I think that's brilliant. And I'm sure, Danielle, this is something that we could help coordinate, because we're going to have the opportunity for these sorts of trips.
Yeah, for sure. I know that, destinations, specifically Puerto Vallarta, they were our guest on Tuesday, and they would be, so wonderful to help us with any content or any resources that we would need, or any of the agents would need. And I know that most of our destination, if not all of them, would do the same.
Yeah.
So I can definitely help be a resource in connecting everyone who is going to go to the destination and want to do something that you want to do, Lisa, and they could help you do that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, this is great. And Danielle, thanks for that. Tom, do you have something you'd like to share about the agents traveling and reporting back?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Lisa. No, just awesome. And it really touches on another one of my hot buttons. And this really does feed into this amplifying the message and what we talked about earlier. And that is that, in the pre-COVID and even now, there's this concept of influencers, right? And it always annoyed me because, in my opinion, travel agents are the real influencers. And what if we take that mantle and do it in a coordinated way, as you mentioned with hub ambassadors, but really start to position agents as the real influencers. Yeah, there's some people on Instagram that might not like that, but I don't care, because the agents are the ones with the knowledge. The agents are the ones with the relationships. They're not just going there to take pretty Instagram photos. They're going there to do very specific work that benefits both the agency community and the consumer. And we could change the game in terms of what it means to be an influencer. And, in the past, suppliers and resorts and destinations, and they're still doing it today, are paying boatloads of money, to people that come to their destination to take pretty pictures on the beach because they have such a significant following. Well, think about the following that travel agents have and the financial impact that collectively travel agents bring.
Sorry.
That's okay. Is that Frida?
She's fierce. Sorry.
So anyways, so Lisa, fantastic idea. And again, mobilizing that, building a program around it, making sure that people understand and get proactive and aggressive about it, and that we do it in a consistent way that, really showcases the agent's expertise, the agent relationships, and allows us to deploy it then in a way that amplifies the message and accomplishes the goal of the path to prosperity. So thank you for that, Lisa. That's awesome.
I would just like to expand on that quickly because I love that idea and your parallel to, agents, you're right. They are the real influencers in this industry. And what if we created like a hub influencer, something we could take to a destination, or we have like an influencer week and we feature 3 destinations and we have a few agents in each destination at a time, and we involve the tourist board and stakeholders in the destination, and we really do, something that they would pay a lot of money, which I don't think they're paying for anymore for that level of influencer, but we could involve them, and I know that they would love that. So we could build out our own framework of an influencer community within the hub and bring in our destination partners and suppliers to help host and be a part of that and support that effort. That's a great idea. I like that.
Yeah, I think that could be a real opportunity for us, not to mention great content when they're there. But we know that, like we've been touching on in the chat and through the conversation, we're sending a qualified professional to go cover the resort, because the big difference between a beautiful Instagram influencer and a travel agent, who might be beautiful too, no disrespect, we've got a CRM full of clients that like to buy travel from us, and we know how to sell it. Big difference there. So we are at time right now, and I don't want to cut this conversation off, but I do want to say, hey, look at what we just did. This is what the Travel Think Tank is all about, is to talk about what's on the table, how can we make it better? And if today got us nothing else other than if we had a single-page website where suppliers could update the stuff we all need to know, and we could get that out at mass and put that into the manifest, that's something we would all like to see. That's something we can do. And hey, why don't we put together an influencer program so hub members can go to resorts and report back, and we can all get top flight information. Also incredible stuff. Plus our conversation on sharing photos and how we would categorize those and make them searchable. It's something we're all talking about as well. But before I sign off, I just want to open the floor one more time. Sandy, you've got some stuff in the comments, some other folks that are on the call. Is there anything you'd like to add about the conversation we've had today? Because while we talk a lot to host the show, we do want to make sure that we're listening so all of the good ideas come out. And apparently they've all come out, which is great. So we've squeezed this orange, apparently. So I want to say thank you to everybody on the call for giving so much today. This is the definition of the community coming together to share so we can all work together. Tom, Danielle, myself, the Hub support team, we're going to put our head down and try and make some of these things come to life, because that's what we're here for. Danielle, anything before we sign off?
don't think so. We have some fun new things coming up. We're going to have our first destination community launch the first week of October. That will probably be 2-week launch, but it'll be really fun with Costa Rica. So we're working on some fun and engaging things to roll our first destination community launch out. And we're going to have a special guest on Tuesday to talk about the Dominican Republic. So I spoke with her today. She's the director of the New York office. She was in the Dominican Republic in Punta Cana when we spoke, so she'll be back to join us on Tuesday. So that'll be a really great update and conversation as the Dominican Republic has just rolled out some updated information and a new resource for everyone to access. So I just saw it's their new resource center. So she'll be there to talk about that too. So
That's wonderful. Tom, any thoughts before we close?
Just to say thank you all so very much. I mean, this is, today's session, this is what we're all about. And, just putting our heads together and addressing the challenges and problems we all face. I mean, even if, 1 or 2 or 3 ideas come out of this that we can go and execute to that help us, I mean, that is a fantastic result. And thanks very much to all you guys for that. Hopefully you can join us on the morning show on Tuesday. I'm so much looking forward to seeing Lucian and talking about Dominican Republic, one of my favorite places to go. But other than that, you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you soon.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.